Section 12.6 is on the distance and midpoint formulas, and these are two of the things that we do in coordinate geometry that we're covering here in Algebra 1. So Pythagorean theorem is the concept that we're going to use in our distance formula. To find the distance between the points, we're going to have a right triangle drawn, and then we're going to use the idea that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the Pythagorean theorem here really is showing that the vertical change is this y sub 2 minus y sub 1, and the horizontal change is the x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So we're going to use that idea that the a squared and the b squared are really this delta y and delta x, this change in y and change in x. So if we want to know the distance from a to b, we'll say x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared equals the length ab squared. And that's just the Pythagorean theorem. And that's how we end up deriving our formula by taking the square root of both sides, and here's our distance formula. So I don't really think of the distance formula, memorize it like this. I memorize the distance formula as a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and I'm just going to take the square root of both sides. So here we're going to ask the question, what's the distance between the points 1, 4 and negative 2, 3? And we're going to use the distance formula to find that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name each of the points. I'm going to call this point 1, 4, point 1, and I'm going to call this point 2. If the left point is point 1, then the 1 is the x value for point 1, and the 4 is the y value for point 1. Now I'm just going to label these so I can put them up into that formula. The negative 2 is the x value for point 2, and the 3 is the y value for point 2. So now that I've labeled those points, I'm just going to put them into the formula and find the length between them. So x sub 2 then is negative 2 minus x sub 1 is 1, and y sub 2 is 3 minus y sub 1 is 4. So I'm going to have the square root of 3 squared plus 3 minus 4 is 1 squared. So I'm going to have 3 squared is 9 plus 1 squared is 1. So my distance is going to be the square root of 10. So the distance between these 2 points is radical 10. And you're going to find that quite often when you're doing these problems, you'll come up with a radical answer.